Hello, PCAPA. We are interviewing Jason Culver today. He is the Higher Education Account Executive with the Performance Infrastructure side of Johnson Controls. Jason, welcome. Jason and Johnson Controls have been really great supporters of PCAPA, and very excited to talk with Jason today about some of the things that Johnson Controls can do to help your colleges out. Good morning, Jason.
Thank you, Tom. As Tom said, my name is Jason Culver. I'm the Higher Education Account Executive in California for Johnson Controls. And if you know or not, Johnson Controls has been around for about 130 years. We've been helping folks with their indoor environments since Warren Johnson invented the thermostat in like 1886, I think, something like that. And we've been innovators in the performance contracting area for over 30 years, helping campuses and schools and hospitals and local governments across the United States with improving their infrastructure in cost-effective ways.
So Jason, as you know, head of facilities at a small college in California. I've got many projects competing for a shrinking pool of money. Where often things break, we have to step in and quickly fix them. We're putting out fires, even though we know we've got this huge pile of deferred maintenance or asset renewal projects to take care of. How can Johnson Controls help with funding some of those projects?
Good question, Tom. Oxy is like many other small campuses that we speak with, and mounting deferred maintenance is a big issue. Shrinking budgets, funding cuts from the state. Oxy not so much, but community colleges and state schools are having funding cuts from the states. And like you said, there's an endless cycle of putting out fires, which significantly affects O&M costs and can negatively impact the success of faculty, staff, and students, which is a huge part of the campus. And there's a school we're working with in the Central Valley that had those issues. The main issue is their central plant is at end of life and on the verge of failing. They have one of 3 chillers that's still basically operational. And so the risk, there's huge risks. There's a temporary campus shutdown. They've got the risk of, so students would have to go home. They have the risk of having to rent temporary chillers, which would be a significant expense. So when you think of the cost of waiting, and you know this, it's inefficient use of manpower. You've got your team having to pull off projects that they're working off to run and put out fires, or just the calls that you get. So you have increased operation and maintenance costs. It could cause a reduction in enrollment, and you could name more issues that arise that are very costly because you wait.
Just like every other college, you know, our enrollment's taken a little bit of a dip, not much, but some, but there's definitely less operating funds compared with last year, given the pandemic and everything that's happening. Are there other sources of funding for some of these projects that perhaps we haven't looked into yet? I know in the past we've talked about utility savings and things like that.
Yeah, there's multiple sources of funding. With Johnson Controls, we have a contingent payment program, which is very unique, which is unique to Johnson Controls. Very competitive interest rates. And it's basically it's a design build contract with a funding mechanism within it. And so it's budget neutral. That way you don't have to get into your capital budget or your operating budget to fund it. It's off credit, which helps with debt covenants. And then the payments are contingent on the savings actually verified and generated. That's a big part of what we're able to do, because when the budgets are constrained, the money isn't there, and you're used to waiting for whatever little bit you can get each year, and it's typically a fraction of what you need. And so we bring these funding options and design build options to you in a way that doesn't affect your capital budget.
That sounds very helpful. So you're basically packaging a number of energy saving measures along with other things on our deferred maintenance pile that maybe don't have those large returns on investment and then putting them together to get a blended return. Is that about right?
That's exactly right.
Okay. And then I work for a very, how do I say it, precise chief operating officer that wants to verify every promise that's made, even, a firm as well established as Johnson Controls. How do I assure him that those savings are actually verified?
Once again, we have measurement and verification that we do on all of our projects. And we will, again, partner with you, along with you. There's essentially 3 standard levels of measurement and verification. And we'll talk that through with your operations team and figure out which one makes the most sense for you. Having the most stringent measurement and verification isn't always the best because there's expense there. So it's a cost benefit analysis of how much do you really want to spend or need to spend on the measurement and verification. There's a lot of engineering formulas and just standard engineering practices where we can just run mathematical formulas. Mm-hmm. This is what's going to happen because of the efficiency of this product or that product, because of run times and those kind of things. But we work with you to make sure you're confident that what we're saying is actually going to come through to fruition. And at the same time, if we fall short, if it's a contingent payment, you're able to withhold that 4th payment. With contingent payment, it's 4 quarterly payments. And if the savings aren't there, then you just don't make that portion of the 4th quarterly payment until we can either fix it or show why the savings are there. But we work with you to do that.
That sounds great. Yeah, one thing I keep hearing from Chris Reyes, who runs the utility side of facilities, is the need to upgrade our software and our controls for our HVAC infrastructure. It seems like if we have better engineering controls as part of one of these projects that you're discussing today, that's going to help us long term, regardless, right?
Absolutely. And we're not only looking at energy savings, again, like we talk about, it's a competitive environment. You're trying to attract students, you're trying to attract and retain top faculty, obviously student success. When the indoor environment is not optimal, the students aren't as successful as they could be. The staff isn't as productive or happy as they could be. And so when you go in and do these building automation systems, yes, you are going to save utilities, probably around 20% you can generate with automation system upgrades. The biggest thing you're going to get, though, is just that much better of an indoor environment. Temperature, humidity, lighting, all of those things are going to be better, and everyone is going to feel their well-being and wellness is going to be better, and productivity and student success is going to be better.
I wish that my boss cared more about our feelings, but it's often a bottom line argument that we have. Fair enough, right? I mean, we're trying to save the college money. Resources are tight. We have plenty of other uses for our money, and there's no sense, increasing our carbon footprint for all the right reasons globally and locally. It seems like the argument's fairly easy to make for the economic benefits of one of these projects. Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. And when we talk about the other things, those are just added bonuses. I mean, hopefully there's at least some, I believe the college in general, the board in general is going to understand that, yes, we need to attract and retain faculty. We need to attract students. But ultimately, the bottom line number is the most important to most of them, for sure. And we just talk about the other ones because that brings in top line money, which can help as well when you look at tuition and whatnot.
Speaking of money, can you talk a little bit about how you get funding for projects like this?
Yes, we partner with over 30 global financial institutions, regional and global financial institutions. Our structured finance team works with these institutions, and we go out working on your behalf to find the best interest rate on whichever product you want to go with, whether it's contingent payment or a tax exempt lease purchase or any other type of PPA. We go out and find the best funding for you. We make no money on that financing. The only reason we do it is because we know that the better financing we can get you, the larger project you can get done. The more you can affect positive change on campus, the better interest rate that we can help you get.
Interesting stuff. Can you talk about microgrids for a minute? It's not something that we've done, but we do have fair share of natural disasters here on the Pacific Coast between fires and earthquakes.
Yes, yes. The fires we're having right now are unprecedented. It's very, very unique. And with the microgrids, you're going to have resiliency. You're going to have backup power. We have done multiple microgrids across the United States. We're working on in the preliminary stages of doing a very large microgrid in the San Diego area. And it's a way for you to, obviously you're going to save money by having one. Many campuses are restricted on how much more solar they can put in because of the transformers and backfeeding to the grid. With a microgrid, you're able to put in more solar because you're going to have storage that's going to prevent that power from being backfed into the system. Now, it's not going to make it to where you can put in unlimited solar, but it does allow you to offset more of your utility bill by having the battery backup.
Mm-hmm. That sounds useful, especially as the environment gets stranger and stranger on us. Can you talk a little bit about public-private partnerships, and would they work for a private college as well as a public institution?
Yeah, that's a good question. I believe public-private partnerships will work for a private institution. I would have to verify that. We are seeing more and more higher education looking at public-private partnerships. Basically, the public entity still owns the facility, and then you have the private funders that build, finance, operate, and maintain it for 25 to 40 years. What it does is it helps free up your budget for other things. It reduces your risk. It also overcomes the deferred maintenance challenges, because built into a public-private partnership is a guaranteed handback provision. So at the end of the term, 25, 40 years, whatever that is, you're going to get the facility back at agreed upon expected life, whether it's 75% or 85%, so that you're getting it handed back to you with very minimal deferred maintenance.
And that all gets negotiated at the front end of the project. So you know for the lifetime of that asset exactly what it's going to cost you up front, going forward.
Exactly. You know the exact cost. Its total life cycle cost is taken into account at the beginning. And these are all things that APA does a great job of talking about. With no matter what you do, you want to be looking at life cycle costs. What's this going to cost to maintain and operate this building for the next 25 years, whether you do it yourself or do it through a P3 structure? Yeah,
we did a massive capital needs study probably 2-3 years ago, and it revealed a fairly high pile of asset renewal projects. You know, kind of as I mentioned at the beginning of our talk, Jason, you know, it's a large mountain to climb, and it feels like some of the solutions you're able to provide here could help us chip away at that. Are there any other examples you can think of where you've been successful in that kind of chipping away?
Talking about other, we do on our virtual booth for the conference, we reference Mount Hood Community College. We have a great video that talks about everything that we've been able to do up there. We have over 100 higher education projects across the United States, but for private colleges, similar to Occidental, Samford University in Alabama is a great example. We were able to do multiple things for them, about 18 different facilities improvement measures, windows, roofing, plumbing, things that you wouldn't think about but we were able to do all that in about a $28 million, 20-year performance contract, contingent payment, where the payment was completely based on the savings. And so budget neutral, no capital investment needed, all paid for through savings over 20 years.
With our larger projects, we often have to make a case, a solid business case to our chief operating officer. Are there any common objections that you frequently run into getting projects approved? And are there, I mean, I don't speak the language of finance all that well, I'll be honest. Are there ways you can come alongside a director of facilities like myself and help make the case for some of these needed projects?
Absolutely. The common objections, it really comes down to one thing. We're all comfortable with how we've always done things. We're creatures of habit. We don't like change. So most of the objections that we're going to hear are just various forms, but generally come back to we're comfortable with the way we've always done things. So exactly right. We come alongside to help you think differently. And sometimes it's even the facilities directors as well are like, well, this is how I've always done it. You know, we get our allocation every year, 500,000 or $1 million. And then I just try to figure out what I can get done with what it is they give me. And sometimes just because you're tired of trying to fight to get more. But so we come alongside you and help build the business case to bring to your financial officers to help them see how it gets paid for. And again, we do still talk about those things that are important, the improving student success, retaining faculty, all of those things. But ultimately, we help them see how to fund it and help them see the cost of waiting, right? We go back to that. Well, look how much it's costing us to wait. And Tom, you and your team, you're able to say, look how much more O&M costs we have, look how much utility. So we go in there together and build the case and then give them assurance. Here's where we've done it here, and here's where we've done it here. And it's not going to be identical. You may not need a new central plant. That doesn't matter. Whatever it is you need, we come in and try to figure out how to get those needs met through savings.
That sounds like a good strategy. Lately, we've been thinking about at Occidental College coming up with not necessarily a huge multi-phase 5-year program to take care of our deferred, but really start off with an incremental project, not too large, simple enough to be comprehended, minimal risk, using an alternative finance strategy like you're talking about, just to get everyone in the decision-making groups comfortable with a different way of taking care of some of this work. So not just a spotlight project on a building that needs a fair amount of work for, say, a new career center. And along with that new career center comes new HVAC controls, new lighting, new plumbing, et cetera. So really having it be a standalone project just aimed at critical infrastructure that when it fails, we fail. And your business is interrupted. You're not teaching in-person classes for a while. Research is ground to a halt because of that system failure. You know, nobody wants to be in that boat. You're suddenly in a bidding environment where the contractor holds all the cards. You don't have the leverage that you have because it's an emergency and it's got to be done at night, over the weekend, to get that part of campus back up and running in a quick minute. So it seems like the kind of financing structures you're talking about, Jason, would really help us get ahead. Every facility director up and down the West Coast here, they have their eye on 5 things. And we all know what those 5 things are because we wake up at 2:30 in the morning every Saturday thinking about what if that system goes down this weekend, you know? And we all know what those 5 things are. If we could bundle 2 of those things along with, say, a lighting upgrade, HVAC controls upgrade that would help fund it, I think we'd all sleep better at night. Have you come across things like that where, you know, a small college or even a large college, they've got these things on their hit list, but they just can't get their arms around funding for them, and you've been able to step in and save the day?
Yeah, absolutely. In most cases, we are able to. And that's the thing. You can reach out to me, reach out to us. It doesn't cost you anything. We do a high level overview and say, yeah, I think we're going to tell you whether we can help you or we think we can help you or not. And once we realize that, yeah, I think we can help you, then we come in and take a little deeper look. And yes, most of the time we're able to help you overcome those things that keep you up at night.
So even if I didn't have a very in-depth capital needs study, you could come over, interview for an hour and a half, our mechanical trades leads, they would more than willing share with you what's keeping them up at night. They've got a list of 40 things, not 5, that are keeping them up at night. I guarantee you. And if I've learned anything doing this kind of work, it's listen to your leads. They're telling you what's about to fail, and God help the facilities director that's not listening to those folks, because they know, you know, it's like a good car mechanic. They're listening to what the brakes sound like on your car. When you start it, they can tell you how long it's been since you changed your oil. So this doesn't need to be a huge investigative process over many, many months, right? You could come in, give a quick check-in, and probably find a number of things you could help with.
Absolutely. Yeah. With a day or two at most. It's great if you have a facilities condition assessment, but if you don't, this college we're working with in the Central Valley, they didn't have a facilities condition assessment. A day on campus helped us see that, yes, we can definitely help you.
Trying to think of any other questions I might have for you. We've had a number of conversations, Jason, about things you can help with at Occidental. I would highly recommend anybody watching our interview today to reach out to you. We'll be sending out an email with Jason's contact information shortly. It'll also be within the chat, I believe. If not, we'll get it out to you so you can contact Jason. I've found he's a very helpful guy, no pressure. You know, he's really here to help. And I found him very helpful.
I appreciate it, Tom. Thank you so much for spending the time today. I know you have a crazy busy schedule. I sure appreciate your time. And we are so thankful for APA and all the relationships that we've built there, and look forward to being back with the family at the conference.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks, Johnson Controls. Look forward to seeing you in person one of these days.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jason.